It is my mission to educate, inspire, and entertain. And if I can do that, then I've done my mission on this planet. And so how cool it is that stand-up has brought a whole nother audience. There's so many health benefits to laughter. The research has been out there between the endorphins and lowering stress. And there's that, I think it's Albert Einstein who said, you can't fix the problem from the same energy that created it. So when you're laughing and you're being carefree and you're being lighthearted, it's a lot different than being worried and fearful and stuck and spinning on Lyme, which is really common, especially when you have brain inflammation.
Welcome to the Everyday Epigenetics Raw, Real, Relatable podcast. I'm your host, Susan Robbins, epigenetic human performance coach. This is where we discuss all things lifestyle, environment, food, exercise, work, mind, and social interaction as they pertain to epigenetic expression in a way that's relatable to everyone. So if you're ready to start viewing you as an individual, take control of your life and health, and get results, buckle up, here we go. Welcome to the Everyday Epigenetics Raw, Real, Relatable podcast. I'm your host, Susan Robbins, and this is a place where we discuss everything lifestyle and environment and how it relates to our genetic expression. And today I'm so excited to have a woman on who I actually came across when I was searching for Lyme practitioners when I first moved back to Colorado in 2018, and came across her profile. And then I was at a conference last year and I saw that she was there, and I waited to talk to her, but she was in a deep conversation, and then I had to take off. And so I was looking for some great guests for my podcast, and she reached out and I said, "Oh my God, Heather, the Lyme boss." And it's like, "Yes, you have to come on. We need to talk." And the funny thing is, we're both here in Loveland, Colorado. So we realized that we need to get together. We were just chatting and it's been awesome. With me here today is Heather Gray, also again known as the Lyme boss. She hosts the Renegade Health Boss podcast. She's a functional diagnostic nutritionist and bioenergetic practitioner. She specializes in supporting clients with chronic and complex illnesses such as Lyme disease, mold toxicity, often a co-infection with Lyme, and autoimmune diseases, which of course they all freaking go together. With over 32 years of personal experience, she understands the struggles of those living with these conditions and is dedicated to helping others find relief. Her personalized approach as a practitioner, podcast host, author, get this one, stand-up comedian. So we are going to talk comedy in healing today as well. Has helped countless clients reduce inflammation in the body and brain, improve gut health, and achieve optimal wellness. Yes. So she helps clients get to the root cause of their symptoms and helps them take control of their health journey. So you can see why we jam. Heather's approach is not only effective, but it's empowering, the more empowering it is. And that's why we're here to bring knowledge. So she says, don't let chronic illness control your life. You can achieve the health and vitality you deserve. And sister, I agree with that 100%. And that goes along with being more empowered. So welcome to my show, Heather Gray.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. As I had mentioned, I am someone I've got Lyme disease twice. The first time, and the one thing with Lyme disease is it is one of the biggest epidemics in the world. No one talks about it, or very few talk about it. And a lot of people go misdiagnosed, undiagnosed. I went undiagnosed. It took 11 years to figure out what was wrong with me after getting it twice. I never saw a tick or anything the first time. The second time was a hornet. So people need to know that it is anything with a vector. It does not have to be a tick. I had on my rib cage, it looked like the Target ad several days after.
And sexually transmitted and congenitally transmitted. Like, it's a blood-borne disease. Hello. I don't know why why the common sense never kicked in either. Fleas, bed bugs, mosquitoes, all the above.
Spiders, heard people with spiders getting it. It's huge. And the last I heard is about 300,000 people a year are diagnosed. And that's diagnosed. That's not those of us that take years, or like a doctor said to me in Montana, and this was, I
the bullseye was already gone. And I told him about it, and he said, "Oh, you had an allergic reaction." Didn't even think Lyme. And it's so indicative. That bullseye, hello, people, that's Lyme. And so I went years. It was, oh my God, that was 2012. And it took 5 more years to figure that out. And when I did, the first doctor said, "We don't have Lyme here in Montana." And that was actually a sting I got stung in Arizona, but I know the first time I got it was Montana. It's everywhere. So don't be fooled, and don't give up. So I would love people to hear, because they've heard my story. I would love people to hear your story, how you came into this, and we'll roll from there.
Absolutely. Love to. And I start at the beginning because I love the fact that you talk about epigenetics and that your audience is already cued into how your environment and your lifestyle tune you up to be a perfect host. It's never, ever, ever, I got bit by a tick and I got Lyme disease. No, there was stuff going on 5, 10, 15 years beforehand that sets you up to be a good host, because we have coexisted with this bacteria for thousands of years, folks. It was found in an Italian mummy in the Alps. I think it was 3,000 years ago, was found to have Lyme disease in its system. So our body knows how to handle Lyme. It's all this other stuff. So let me back up. I was basically born full of shit. Like, how many of you can relate as being young and being constipated? And that was the beginning of my, let's throw Band-Aids at symptoms, right? I would sit on the potty so long, my feet would fall asleep.
Oh my God.
The doctors were just throwing nasty thick oils down my throat, stool softeners, laxative, but they weren't trying to figure out why this 4-year-old couldn't poop.
4 years old.
Yeah. Hindsight's 2020. That was the year my uncle committed suicide. That was the year my grandmother died of breast cancer, and I was being raised by alcoholic addicts. So
Trauma.
yes, cue trauma. The only thing my mom gave me was a high A score. Adverse childhood experiences. It was a Kaiser study that showed the direct correlation between all the early childhood traumas and how it would lead you to be more susceptible to chronic illness and disease as you got older, autoimmune. So fast forward, I'm also now, I think that around that time it kicked in my celiac gene, and I was eating a standard American diet, the SAD diet. So now we've got a couple players going on. We got my nervous system that's trashed. I know I was living in mold back then as well. And I've got my first autoimmune that's flaring up. So fast forward, teenager, 13 years old. My mom divorces my dad for his brother. That's actually part of a bit in my skit. I'm like, anybody else out there? Talking about how trauma to comedians is like gold. It's like having a winning hand. It's like having a winning hand at poker. I see the verbal abuse of your first grade bully, and I raise you my mother divorcing my dad for his brother. Boom. Royal flush. Or is that a full house? Either way, they were awfully productive, because anybody else here have sister cousins? So that trauma was going on when around the time I got bit by a tick. So when I was 13, I started showing symptoms 2 years later when I was 15 with my first suicide attempt. Lyme, when you get it juvenile, really, really affects the gut and really affects the brain. Yeah. That was the first of 3 suicide attempts. Fast forward 27 years it took for me to get diagnosed. I was 30.
I was bad with 11.
Say that again?
I thought I was bad with 11.
Yeah,
27?
no, 27.
Oh, great.
My life, I don't remember much where it hasn't been some sort of a struggle, like with the physical. So finally got diagnosed in 2013 after 27 years being undiagnosed. By that time, I had developed 3 autoimmune diseases. I was 100 pounds overweight. I had cavitations. I had mold toxicity. I had heavy metals. I had parasites. So all the things. And I know it sounds like a lot, but really, when you start digging apart people's health stuff, my story is really not that special or not that different, believe it or not.
It's not. It's
It
great.
really isn't.
Yep.
So I went the Western med route to begin with, and they were just throwing napalm at a body that had been sick for decades. I thought I was going to die.
Was it a lot of antibiotics they were throwing at you?
Antibiotics and anti-malarial. And I still wasn't pooping. Nobody was asking me if I was pooping, what my stress level was like, if I was sleeping at night, what my diet was like, right? And I thought I was going to die. And that's when I heard on a podcast the founder of FDN, which is the certification I have, speaking about how you got to make sure that your gut is healed and that your hormones are balanced and your detox pathways are open. And this was before a lot of epigenetics talk, but I was a silly hairstylist at the time, which is also a very toxic freaking job, especially for someone who has, when they talk about a detox bucket, I have a detox thimble. I just, again, just the perfect host, perfect storm, perfect host to be really, really sick. But going through that program, it was what started me on this path. There were many other layers to peel back, including nervous system resetting work and emotional trauma work, because that'll keep your system jacked up in fight or flight. And I was relapsing and relapsing and relapsing, and I couldn't figure out why until I dealt with that piece. And then I haven't had a relapse, and I haven't had issues with Lyme or an autoimmune flare in 4 years.
Big difference. Yeah, I love that story. And it's so similar because as you're talking about all these things, I'm writing these things down and I'm going, yep, autoimmune, celiac, same here.
Yeah.
And people think you're crazy. Even the
That's the
doctors.
title. That's the title of my book. When I finally got my diagnosis, I was in Denver by myself. I've talked to this. She was what do they call it? A physician's assistant. And she only saw me for 5 minutes. She had a little twinkle in her eye and she had this really cool accent. I can't remember where she was from, but she's, I know exactly what's wrong with you. And I'm thinking, bullshit, lady. And she goes,
Nobody knows what's wrong with me.
I'm like, I've been through this 27 years, right? And she's, have you ever been bit by a tick? I was like, yeah, actually, when I was 13. And I didn't develop a bullseye rash. Now, if you have a bullseye rash, that is 100% you have Lyme, but only 30% of people with Lyme disease actually get a bullseye. So I never got a rash.
Yeah.
And so I finally got my diagnosis, and I'm driving down I-25, 75 miles an hour, tears streaming down my face. And I screamed, I told you I'm not crazy. And that's the title of the book that I'm supposed to be writing is I told you I'm not crazy, the reality of Lyme disease, because and that's part of my comic too, is that I want to stop calling people crazy. Instead, I want to say your brain inflammation is showing, right? Because once you slap people with that stigma of being crazy, it dismisses them as a person. It ruins their reputation. Now, anything you say out of your mouth gets downplayed, right? Because you're just crazy.
Yep. And I don't know if this happened with you, but when it was the same thing when we found out, it was just having an answer, because physical therapists, my first round with it was cardiac. I was in the ER with PSVT, the tachycardia. I was there. I had all the workups done, and they said we don't know what's going on. So we see this happening, but we don't know why. And the weight gain. Oh my God. The weight gain came on, and just you're all over the place. And they thought maybe it's hormones, maybe it's thyroid, because those were all messed up too. So it was just worse. So when you get that final, oh my God, this is what it is. It is so emotional when you've been dealing with it for a period of time. My question is, did it do to you like it did to me? Once I found out, for that first year, everything was Lyme. Like you start to everything. Oh my God, it's the Lyme. Oh, it's because of the Lyme. And all you do is talk about it's okay. I'm a CrossFitter. So we say you drink the Kool-Aid. Hey, and all you talk about is CrossFit. Well, I went from CrossFit to talk about Lyme all the time. And I think I drove my relationship away. Honestly, I think he got tired of hearing it, because it just becomes such a part of you. You lived with it for so long with all these issues that now it's something you can put your finger on.
Oh yeah, it's a double-edged sword indeed. Now you're getting validated, right? Now you're getting seen and understood for the first time. Now there's a fucking monster, a name behind that boogeyman underneath the bed. And then a lot of people I know will wear that like a badge of honor, like cloak that they just get all wrapped up warm and nice in, and they never want to come out of it. And I'm like, you have got to stop identifying with your disease. It is not my Lyme disease. It's not my Lyme disease. I have a client right now. She said my cancer. And I was like, oh, how many times have I told you? Stop identifying with the disease. You've got to separate it. You can't. So live that, enjoy the validation, because man, being medically gaslit, being gaslit by your family, like that sucks. It's hard. Feel that. let it run through you. Give yourself a time period. You're like, I'm going to let myself revel in this 1 month, 2 months, 3 months max. After that, it's time to pick yourself back up by your big girl panties and start moving towards an answer, because you're not going to get healthy by the same energy that's keeping you sick.
Yeah. And again, same thing with me. Like then the autoimmune comes in. And so this is where I think it's so important, because I had been on, you keep looking for more answers, and you want to look for who gets me now. I have a name for it, who gets me. So I had to get off of them because they were so depressing. But I was on all the Facebook groups and all these different organizations that were Lyme related. And people would say, I'm not sure what to eat. And they also would have the autoimmune. And so I knew I had just started basic health coaching. I went to IIN, and I wasn't into the epigenetic portion of things yet to where I got really specific. But I just knew that with autoimmune, the gut, these specific lifestyle things we want to pay attention to. And these people they felt like they lost everything once they heard Lyme, to where they were saying, I'm not giving up my alcohol. I'm not giving up sugar because it's taken everything else from me. I'm going, you're just keeping yourself exactly where you are then. You have to make some sacrifices to feel better. And can you talk a bit just on how important dialing in the lifestyle is? Sugar feeds bacteria. Lyme is a bacteria. It's pretty common sense, but yet I think people hear what they want to hear. And some like to play that victim mode because they are validated, and now it's keeping them where they are.
If nothing changes, nothing changes. And it is sad, because there are a lot of folks still stuck in victim. And that's part of the reason why I rebranded from the Lyme Boss to Renegade Health Boss, to be quite honest with you, because I found I still work with people with Lyme. Of course I do. That's a huge part of my story. But I only want to work with people who actually want to get better, who don't want to say stick in the story and be, make that line in the sand. I can't work with that. I can't get you better if that's the way you're going to be. But no, food is absolutely so God love Casey and Callie Means right now, right? It cracks me up. They're new. I'm like, I even reposted their podcast with Joe Rogan, and I was like, welcome to the show, or welcome to the movement, or something along. Because they've only been at this for a couple of years, because COVID 2020 was when they started to wake up, and she saw things as a doctor. I've been screaming this stuff for over 10 years. Was that you can't focus on treatment alone. You can't. Absolutely, you will not get better and stay better. There's things, like I said, epigenetically wise, or anything that has set you up to be that good host. And so absolutely, food is foundation. Every bite you take will either take you one step closer to health or one step closer to disease. And you thank God for DNA genetics, because I remember the last little time that I had a little run in, it was around 2020, and I was going to go keto. And that was all the rage. Everyone, keto, 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 keto. So I do it. I put on 10 freaking pounds. My body hurts like hell. I'm like, what is going on? And I do a genetics test. And one, it tells me that I should never consume that much fat. Yeah. Saturated fats. Okay, cool. And then I did a food sensitivity test with it. And I was reacting to almonds and coconuts. And what's
Oh my God, primary in there.
Yeah, I have keto. So it was like, no wonder.
Yeah.
Food is very individualized, but there are some commonalities that sugar, grains, seed oils, and alcohol, that dairy, those things should really, everybody, if you're going to start healing. Sometimes, depending on your genetics too, I don't tolerate dairy, period. End of story. It's, even in my genes, I don't mess with it. There are some things that you are able to add back after you heal your gut and you clean up the lifestyle. It's just temporary, but man, what I've done for people in a short 1, 2, 3 months, just by, dialing in this lifestyle and diet alone, people are like, it's insane. And we've just gotten too far off the mark on how humans are supposed to live. We're staying up too late, the artificial lights, the fragrance, the toxins. Oh my God, the freaking toxins in the environment. And the freaking toxic food. And it's just making for, again, perfect storm for
It is.
all the chronic diseases are at the all-time high. Autoimmune, diabetes, all of them are at an all-time high right now. And if people need to wake up.
Yep. And you think about it too, and it started back in 2020. What were the things they started doing through this pandemic? They closed the gyms. They said, don't go to the park.
They closed my sauna. That was the only way I could sweat and detox. I was so pissed. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Closing all these things that are great for the bodies to rid of toxins and to stay healthy. But I'm around the corner from a Chick-fil-A and a McDonald's, and the lines at the fast food were crazy. They were essential. The liquor stores and weed shops, hello, Colorado, were essential. And that made me start thinking, what's wrong here?
Yeah. When they would incentivize, get a Krispy Kreme donut when you get your shot. That's a wheat, dairy, and sugar to a vaccine. What could possibly go wrong? I was living in bizarro world.
And if you knew how many times I actually use that same term, bizarro world, like, where the fuck am I? And I just said, this is just, it is a whole other, what was a meme I saw years ago about the aliens looking down here and going, no way am I going down there. These people are fucked up. Literally. And it just made me sit here thinking that I know everything I'm doing is right. And I'm very anti anybody, and I don't care what quote expert they say they are, when they say that one thing is right for everybody except for sugar and booze, right? Maybe because they are just so detrimental to the brain, to the body. But other than that, even when I started with the genetics, I had to realize, and this was 4 years ago for me too, that holy crap, because my first was 4 years, I coached everybody paleo because it got rid of the junk and nobody should be eating these things. And then as I got into the genetics, I said, holy crap, there's actually people that do okay with dairy. There's some people that do okay with certain grains. Like, what? And it totally blew my mind at how we're so individual. But even if you can handle those things, it's the amounts that people take things in.
I was just going to say there's a caveat. There's always a caveat. That and is it organic? What's the source from? Is it pasteurized dairy that's been tortured and grain fed and filled full of antibiotics? Is the grains American grains, right? Because European grains are a completely different story. So there's and is it soaked? Are you traditionally preparing your grains if you're going to eat grains? So yes, that sounded like hard and fast rules, but it's just because there's so many different caveats that for ease sake on a show like this, that's what I say. But no, I've been versed in Western A Price. I've been versed in all of them. They all have their ups and their downs, but like you, I stuck with paleo for the most part with folks, except minus their food sensitivity. And if I get a genetics test, then I'll take that into account as well, because everybody is so individual. But there are certain foods out there that are causing a lot of problems.
Absolutely. Now, when you started working through the treatment of Lyme, like you said, they were throwing everything at you. I did not go the antibiotic route because I had from so many antibiotics given to me for sinusitis due to what turned out later to be allergies with dairy and eggs that I was eating on a regular basis most of my life. But they pumped me full of antibiotics to where I had horrible candida that took me forever to get. And this all coincided at the same time with Lyme. So I did not go near antibiotics. I'm like terrified. What do you find? What are your thoughts as far as treatments? Because there's so many out there now. And I know the herbals are actually researched. The herbal treatments really work well. I know that.
Absolutely. I'm a cell core practitioner and we use herbals. There's, quite a few different. I'm also got an account with Nutrimetics, which uses herbals. There's Des Bio, which is homeopathic,
Homeopathics, great. Yeah.
I found once you first cleaned up the person, right? Cleaned up the environment, that a lot of times I didn't have to go back in and actually, for lack of a better word, treat, because I can't treat or diagnose. I'm not a doctor, but
Practitioner. You don't diagnose, treat, or cure any illness or disease. If
correct.
no it happens.
Disclaimer. Uh, but so yeah, or if they needed something, it was very little. I didn't need to take large hammers to their body, which is what the Western model is doing, which is accepted by insurance companies. But yes, the herbals are proven. There's a lot of research out there to be just as effective, if not more, and leave your healthy flora intact. And then there's things like H-spot, hyperbaric oxygen. I have an ozone machine. I love my ozone. Silver, methylene blue. Oh my God, I'm a huge fan of methylene blue and red light.
He's my visitor. Yeah.
I love it.
He doesn't bug me unless I'm either in a session or a podcast, and then he decides to come up and
How
show
funny.
himself.
He's so cute. But
He's
yeah, so
cute
there's a
for
lot of
now.
different ways that you can go that you don't have to do antibiotics. Like typically, even the only people I would ever say antibiotics is if like you catch it acutely and then you can go on a couple weeks, 8 weeks
So the
of
doxy cycle.
doxy and then be done with it because you can heal your gut. That's not going to totally deplete you to the point where you absolutely can heal your gut. But long term, I am not a fan of long term picks in the
No.
body.
That's what I was thinking. The PICC lines, they're putting them in for years.
Yeah, years.
Antibiotics through PICC lines on people.
I don't know
And
how they're ever gonna get their gut healed after that. That's just insane. It breaks my heart.
oh my God. People need to know there's other alternatives. So there's the herbal, homeopathics. You laugh at this. When my naturopath gave me the herbal remedy, that's what we were starting with. I thought it said take 3 droppers. And I will tell you people, when you start a treatment, sometimes it'll bring it out. You'll get some of these symptoms come back as you get some die off. And I thought it was supposed to be 3 drops. And I did 3 droppers. Oh,
You had a nice Herx response or Herxheimer's, we call it.
holy
Yes.
crap. It was brutal. But otherwise, the herbals and then the homeopathics. And another thing I've had really good luck with was the Erconia laser. Have you used that at all or heard of
No, I haven't, but I did forget one of my favorites that I'm wearing right now, which is I got 2 of them on. So it's a Nikki watch. So it actually delivers frequency through a red light and they have a whole Lyme frequency set. And it was funny. I got it 4 years after I had any issues with Lyme. And I was like, oh, nothing's going to happen. I'm probably not going to feel anything. About 4 days after wearing it, I had a mini Herx. I was like, what the hell? And so this thing also, I got a freaking recent mold exposure in my house for 3 months, the AC unit that was blowing from my window. And like just a month ago, my brain was completely scrambled. Like I thought I was going to have to check myself into the psych ward. Like I couldn't drive. Like this was very real. And this has got a mold and a detox function on it. And that and a couple other things I used, I absolutely swear by because from 1 week, I went from being a vegetable to having to travel to Phoenix, Arizona, and then to Austin to go to 2 health conferences and do 1 stand-up comedy show. So it's, yeah. But
So what's it called? The Nikki? How do you spell that?
Nikki, all capital letters. I can send you a link for more information.
Yeah.
But yeah, I met him on my podcast and completely fell in love with him. And then I became their podcast host. So I've been using it for over a year right now. I never usually wear 2, but right now, because I'm still detoxing the mold, and I've had a little bit of a sinus thing. So I'm running viruses and bacteria in one, and I'm running detox on the other. So
I'll tell you, frequencies that's the other thing that I've had luck with, like fantastic luck frequencies.
yep, I love it.
All we are is energy, people. That's all we are. We're energy.
Light, frequency, and sound is how our cells communicate.
Absolutely. Binaural beats. And these are things that you can do. Some of these things are things you can do on your own too. But yeah, there's options to just the standard get on antibiotics and wreck the rest of your body.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then lifestyle wise, so we know food. And then, like you said, the sleep is crucial. Turn the damn phones off 1 to 2 hours before you go into bed. That's huge, huge, because we're expecting so much from our bodies. We're go, go, go all day. And then our body's expected to just go, oh, okay. So it's 10 o'clock. It's sleep time. We're expected to just shut off after throwing all this stuff at our minds and bodies all day long. It doesn't happen. But what do you see as far as lifestyle when you're changing these things with people, working on the food, working on lifestyle? What kind of changes do you see in healing? You're saying like 2 to 3 months, you're starting to see some good healing with the Lyme.
With almost everything in general, typically within the first month, if people are, especially if we do a food sensitivity test, that's low hanging fruit as far as lowering a lot of inflammation fast. But if we're not doing a food sensitivity test, then it can take a little bit longer. But usually, most people are usually feeling results within the first month. And I have them redo my intake forms on a monthly basis because that's the other sad thing I've seen is people are like, I've been on the same protocol for a year and I'm not getting anywhere. If I'm not moving the needle and even just a little bit every month, like we need to dig deeper and we might need to pivot because that's just ridiculous to stay on something for that long and not get results. But yeah, the lifestyle stuff is key. Dr. Klinghardt, he's a huge doctor in the Lyme world. I heard from him like 15 years ago. He was the first one talking about EMFs and how you got to turn off your Wi-Fi at night. When I still have clients, they look at me like, I'm sorry, you want me to do what?
You do what?
Blank, blank, blank. They're like crack addicts. You want me to do what? And I'm like, yes. And it's easy. You can use the old fashioned, timers that you would use for like holiday lights. You get them on Amazon, $10, set the timer to go off at 11 o'clock at night and come back on at 6 o'clock in the morning. Or ours, you can go directly on the app and actually set it up to what time you want it to shut off and turn on because our bodies need a break from
Right.
this constant and these Wi-Fis supercharge the bugs. So if you're in the middle of treatment and you're still being inundated with Wi-Fi and EMFs, you're doing an uphill battle. It's going to take you 10 times longer and cost you more money in the long run. So every chance you can give your body a break, do. So all the lifestyle stuff, sleep, exercise, not over exercising. I know you said
Over.
CrossFit, but you can't you stress
Well,
on the body, stress on the body. I tell people for the next 3 months, and I know CrossFitters and marathon runners are the ones that fight me the most. And I'm
yep.
like, you're allowed to walk, you're allowed to light strengthening train, yoga, stretch. That's it. We need your body to
Yeah.
calm the F down. We don't want you getting all worked up. No. And it's funny, a lot of times women are like, "Oh my God, I'm finally losing weight. This feels so counterproductive." And it's like, yeah, it's because your
The
adrenals are
cortisol
trashed.
finally
Yep,
gets managed.
exactly.
Exactly. That was the other thing I wanted to bring up was stress, such a huge component. And I know it was with me. I was a police officer. I was CrossFitting at night.
Oh,
Totally opposite of what I should be doing. It was just like the perfect storm. And our bodies are constantly stressed, constantly. And how can you expect to heal when, and people, I don't know about you, when I hear, I don't have any stress.
yeah.
Okay. There's
You
good
have a
stress, and bad
pulse?
stress. Like you said, exercise is still a stress on the body and you need recovery from it.
Yep.
Um, when you hear people that are autoimmune, severe autoimmune, totally fatigued, and they're going to do something like CrossFit or something high intensity, and they're doing it like 6 days a week.
I remember doing spinning back when I was sick and undiagnosed. It was shortly after having my kiddo. Yeah. I would feel good for like a half an hour. I was like, "Woo." And then I'd go home and sleep for 3 hours. And my ex-husband was like, I thought exercise was supposed to give you more energy. What's going on? I'm like, I don't know, but I feel dead, like
Yeah,
literally
totally
dead.
depleting.
It was horrible. And then once I went through FDN and I was like, oh, that's what was going on back then. Okay, totally makes sense. My poor
Oh
body.
yeah,
It was like, I only have enough energy to keep you alive. And now you're running from a tiger for 45 minutes every day, 5 days a week. Like, WTF?
yeah. If we knew then
I
what
know.
we knew, that's what I say. But I think to say that the lives we're living now compared to then, and knowing what we know now, it's never too late because the body is such a remarkable machine. And when you give it the right things at the right time for that specific person, that's what you and I are both seeing the beauty of. So I love it. I just wanted people to know that Lyme is everywhere. It is there. There is no state in where it does not exist. It is a massive epidemic and worldwide. It's everywhere, but you can heal. And most of the time it's going into remission, as you are and I am.
It will be with me for the rest of my life, and it's how well I keep my immune system in check is how well my body keeps it in check. So stress level down, all the lifestyle, the epigenetic stuff. Yeah. It is a lifestyle now. I also have a little meme that says my self-care feels like a part-time job, but it's better than being full-time sick.
I love that. And it's so true. It is.
I was proud of myself when that one got downloaded. I was like, did that shit come out of my mouth? Oh my God.
But it's so true. Because when you don't feel good, you never feel good.
Yeah.
But when you're doing this, it's a lifestyle. It can be a little bit, for some people, a bit intimidating in the beginning. I have to make this change. He's going to listen to this podcast too. I know it. He listens to all mine. He actually watches them. I met him hiking and we were talking, and he was addicted to Diet Dr. Pepper. And after meeting and talking with me, he gave it up cold turkey, and he'll text and say, "Oh my God, this is so difficult." But that's one small change that will make such a massive difference in his life. It seems like this all-consuming, horrible thing you have to deal with while it's happening. But my God, how impactful is it when you can come out and say, geez, I actually did this. And now my quality of life is just so much better because of this one little thing. So it's just about making the small changes that add up, just one day at a time. Pick a change, start working with that habit, and make another one. And then the bodies are so resilient. Now, the health types wise, you have some that are more resilient than others. Some it's a little bit, their body's just a lot more sensitive, but we can still know the right things to give to that body to get it back in as well. Great conversation on Lyme. I love to talk. I want to talk about how you had said when you filled out my form about laughter, and how this is a huge component. And you're doing stand-up comedy. And so I would love to talk more about this because it's so different.
Yeah, absolutely. I love, you're such an easy laugher too. It's been great. I'm like, I need you in the front row of all my shows. But
I try to get there early to get in the front row. So you have to tell me where.
This Friday night at Dragonfly, I actually am producing my first comedy show. There's 5 comics with all health backgrounds. So it's all health related comedy happening this Friday night. Yeah, at Dragonfly. Yeah. You should come check it out. I tried it.
I have hockey tickets. The one time tickets I got this Friday.
But so it was another practitioner, and that might have been who I was talking to at Dragonfly last year. If he had bald head and glasses, he has a tendency to be really just monopolizes your attention. But he's a doctor in Boulder, and I knew him online, and I was like, let's meet in person. And within 5 minutes, he's on the spectrum. He's Asperger's, and he does stand up. And within 5 minutes, he's like, "Have you ever thought about doing stand up?" I said, "Why on earth would I ever do that?" He's like, "I know you want to be on more stages to speak," and he's like, "It's a really great skill set to have." Okay, makes sense. He's like, "Looks really good on a CV." I was like, okay, makes sense. Never heard CV before. I thought it was a little on the pretentious side. I'm like, you mean a resume? But so he was like, "How do you have any trauma in your life?" I said, "How much time do you have for lunch?" So I take this class of his with him. And it's funny, the first class, everybody else had done her class before, and they came with material already. And I'm like, shit, what do I do? But I sat back and I listened, and I noticed a thread, and it was trauma, right? And so I was like, oh. So it came to be my turn, and I'm like, I'm going to throw all my toys on the floor, and you guys tell me what you want to play with. And so I'm like, uncle committed suicide at 4. When I was 4, my transgendered son used to work in the cannabis industry, ex-stripper, chronic Lyme disease. Of course, they picked the ex-stripper stuff. I was like, really? I'm a practitioner. This is really what I'm coming out with right off the bat. But It's actually been hilarious, and I've been able to tie an arc of showing how early childhood trauma, right, daddy issues, how it shows up a lot of times, and then I talk about autoimmune, I talk about inflammation of the brain, I talk about coffee enemas, I talk about my transgendered son, and was it the atrazine in the water, that commonly used herbicide known to make boy frogs turn into girl frogs? Or if it was because when I was pregnant with her and I was on stage and she was in my womb, she got a glimpse of how women are treated and said, "Fuck that, I'm switching teams." Right? So I'm really it is my mission to educate, inspire, and entertain. And if I can do that, then I've done my mission on this planet. And so how cool it is that stand up has brought a whole nother audience and a whole nother way to get to do laughter is absolutely there's so many health benefits to laughter. The research has been out there between the endorphins and lowering stress, and there's that I think it's Albert Einstein who said, "You can't fix the problem from the same energy that created it." So when you're laughing and you're being carefree and you're being lighthearted, it's a lot different than being worried and fearful and stuck and spinning on Lyme, which is really common, especially when you have brain inflammation.
Yep.
So these are just another way to help alleviate some of those symptoms, raise your vibration, and then
The vibration.
raise your
Yeah.
vibration and then get into another state that can help heal. But I tell people that even if I don't make it big as a comic, I've learned how to play with people on an everyday basis that I never did. I was a very serious person and very kind of a Karen, and I talk about that in my stand-up as well. And now I am playing with total complete strangers when I'm out in public, and I'm having a freaking blast. I'm putting smiles. I was in New York, and we were at a Broadway show, and I got in this elevator, and it was huge. I've never seen an elevator that big. I start running around it like a mad woman. Next thing I know, these two cute little Asian women start running around with it,
Oh
with
my
me.
God.
We're laughing our asses
I've
off.
been recording that.
I know, right?
Come
So much
on.
fun. Like how much fun it is to make I used to be little Mr. Mrs. Judgy and make people feel like shit, and now it's my pet, and I'm trying to make trying to make up for all that time of just being a goofball, making people laugh, and what a gift.
It totally is. And I always say, where do you see people in bad moods at comedy clubs? Every once in a while, you see
Everyone's
someone that
especially if they've had a little too much to drink because you talk about low vibration. Alcohol is a very low vibration.
very low.
If they've had too much, there's always that sweet spot. That's why as comics, we like you to have one or two to prime the pump. Preferably, though, I'm starting to write some material for an a second chance comedy, which is a sober comedian show that goes around, and they're only in sober venues. And so
Uh-huh.
I'm really looking forward to that because I've gotten to a point in my life where alcoholics and addicts have affected all areas of my life for so long that I don't want anything to do with it anymore. And
Yeah.
so how awesome that this movement is happening. We have a mocktail bar that's gonna be opening up in Loveland soon. They had a fundraiser last
No
Friday night.
kidding.
Yeah, no.
Where is this going to be? Downtown?
They haven't had a location yet. They just had a big fundraiser on Friday, and they had Second Chance Comedy there doing comedy, and they had a silent auction and mocktails. It was a blast.
And those of us that don't drink, people think that, oh, it must be because you're an alcoholic or something. No, I probably killed a boatload of brain cells in the 80s, 80s, right? But I'm very open about it here. I stopped drinking when I saw my DNA and I saw I was an ApoE4, and alcohol
Mhm.
is a big contributor. And I said, I want my wits about me. That means a lot more to me than having a cocktail. And I was 2019, and I was the party girl. I started drinking at 14. I was going to bars. I was on the Jersey Shore. That's what we did. Um, there's such a stigma. Oh my God, you don't drink. You must have had a problem with it. No, and I'm seeing
I
that,
have a problem with it, the fact that it causes
that
inflammation and it makes my brain go bye-bye.
but I want to remember my life. I want to enjoy it. I want quality of life. But I think there's more people I'm talking to that have chosen not to do it, just not because of a problem, just because they want to keep away problems and live that better quality of life. And I think when you're trying to vibrate on that higher level, like you said, it's a low vibrating low vibration frequency, why do I want to take my awareness away from that, or anything that takes me out of that consciousness of being in this beautiful moment of life that I'm blessed to have again for another day?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
different, right? And how we look at it. But I love that this is coming here, because I thought when I moved back from Montana in 2018, and I said, oh, this is going to be easy. My practice will flourish because everybody in Colorado is so healthy. Okay, we're going to go do hikes. We're going to go bike. We're going to do all these hardcore things. And then we're going to the bar. I'm going to go eat
Everything
crap.
around here. Let's wine and paint. And the marathons, all the freaking marathons runner, they get there and then they drink their booze. And yeah, when I used to work at Planet Fitness, it wasn't beer, but it was pizza. Like on a Thursday night, they would bring in pizza.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I don't condemn anyone for their choices. You make your choices. However, as you said in the very beginning, basically is every choice you make matters. Choices matter. I say this online all the time. Choices matter. Choose wisely. And because I've had clients come in and say, I eat really well. I do pizzas every Friday. One said, I take the toppings off and eat them. That's any better. They don't know what they don't know until they get it. Right.
I've
And
even had a person where I ran a wheat zoomer on them and I showed them, this is your future. This is what you're setting yourself up for if you don't stop eating wheat, because of all the inflammation that it's doing, because of all the leaky gut that it's causing, because of all the blah, blah, blah. And they still refused and was wondering why they couldn't get better. And I was like, wow, I don't know how to connect those dots for you anymore there, darling. Like, you are deep in denial.
Yep. So we're here to give information, the best information we can give. You and I have a lot of experience between us, both personally, professionally, what we've seen with people, what we've seen with ourselves. And you can lead the horse to water, you can't make it drink.
Yeah.
And we all want to help everybody. I wish I could help every single person. I wish you could help every single person that needs help. But to at least be able to give the information, and sometimes, and I always think that if someone's not ready to hear it right now, they might be down the road. And that's the beauty of it. And sometimes people just have to hit just like the alcoholic has to hit that rock bottom. It's no different with your personal health. One day you're going to wake up and you're not going to want to be able to get out of bed or go do the things that you love doing that feed your soul. Play with your grandkids, see your children get married, see your grandkids get married. That's quality of life. What do you want to be here for? And I saw it was a Facebook post today where someone said that they live near the Amish. And I remembered, because I grew up in Jersey, we used to go visit relatives in Pennsylvania and go to Amish country. And they had the most amazing Dutch bread and that damn shoe fly pie, all that shit. Yes, I was a fat kid, right? Surprise. It tasted good. He said he lives there. It lives around there now. And they bring his coworkers will bring all these treats and stuff to work, and they make fun of him. This is one short little paragraph I pulled on today, just this morning. And he was saying they make fun and go, oh, come on. You only live once. If you're going to die, you might as well die happy. And I responded back to that post and I said, but I want to die having done the things I love doing and being outside and having an amazing quality of life till the end, and not dying with diabetes and heart disease and living a miserable freaking quality of life. Misery loves company. So anybody, and it's the same with drinking, where the peer pressure, oh, come on, have one drink. It's not going to kill you. Might down the road, and I'm not willing to take that chance. People want to make themselves feel better for the choices that they are making that are not the best choices for them. So if they have somebody else willing to do that with them, it validates in their mind that maybe it's okay then.
Absolutely.
But as far as the comedy, so laughter, it's got healing properties to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We need more.
Yeah. So actually pulled up some stuff earlier. So what reduces stress? Laughter lowers stress levels of cortisol, stress hormones, helping to reduce stress, promotes relaxation, which is beneficial to overall health, boosts immune function. Laughing increases the production of antibodies and activates immune cells, improving the body's ability to fight off illness. What? Improves cardiovascular health. Laughter increases blood flow and improves the function of blood vessels, which can help the heart and lower the risk of cardiovascular issues. Enhances mood and mental health. Laughter triggers the release of endorphins, the body's natural feel good chemicals, reducing feelings of anxiety, depression, and increased overall wellness. Reduces pain because those same endorphins, right, when they're up, it helps their natural painkillers. So the list goes on and on and on, and it's amazing. And it was also a fun little list that I found, like some tips. Finding the funny in everyday situations, right? Look at the humor in the small moments of daily life, whether it's a silly mistake that you've made or unexpected surprise. Laughing at life quirks can lighten up the mood, reduce your stress, which is great. I tried this once. Me and my husband, he's a fire sign. I'm a fire sign. Sometimes it can get a little hot. We were getting into a fight, and all of a sudden I just said something stupid and silly. And he just started laughing his ass off. Next thing I know, I'm laughing my ass off. Normally that would have ended up with me throwing something and him yelling and it like getting nasty. And here we were like, what the hell were we doing? What was that even about? Like, I don't know. We continued to make dinner. Yeah, I love that expression too. You can either be right or you can be happy. So it's
Oh yeah. Yeah.
not taking yourself too seriously. Like I said, I used to be that kind of Karen that took myself too seriously. So I want to, it's like a PSA for Karens. If somebody's acting that way, show them a little more kindness, show them a little bit more love, because nobody acts that way who's healthy and well adjusted.
Yes. Amen.
So yeah.
Great stuff. So we need more laughter in our lives. Absolutely. Anytime I like to go up to the Comedy Fort. I was down just a few weeks ago at Comedy Works South, the landmark down there. I just love a good comedy club. I think there's like nothing better than just sitting there and laughing your ass off. You can't be in a bad mood, if you're laughing or dancing. Those are the two things. Do you see pissed off people on a dance floor? Typically not. Do you see pissed off people laughing at a comedy club? Typically not. Right. Get out there. Get some fun in your life. Lighten up. And even when I saw that clump of hair come out today with the foam roller that I put out in the
yeah.
I that would have crushed me. And I was just like, you can't make this up. I'd take a picture of it. He pulls a clump of hair out in the foam roller when they roll on it. You have to make it when you start. It doesn't mean that you don't care or that something isn't a serious topic. But when you can find the lightheartedness in some of the most difficult situations, keeps that vibration up.
Winning. Hashtag winning.
Hello.
Yeah.
What a pleasure it's been to have you on here. So we've had great info on Lyme, info on comedy and how it can be healing. Put the two together and let's just keep thriving and keep that vibration high. That's what it's about. Thank you so much for coming on here today, Heather. What a pleasure. Loved it. So we will have all your contact information in the podcast, but if anybody's just listening here right now, what's the best ways they can reach out to you and to listen to your podcast as well?
I'm everywhere. The Renegade Health Boss. The website is a really great place to start, renegadehealthboss.com. And then for your audience, I have a course. It's the Foundations of Health course. Let's talk about stress. It's the Dress for Success model. So it's diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation. Plus, I have my 7 video cooking series, Real Cooking for Real Life. And I've got a bonus video on toxins in there. And so you can find that at RHB courses /awakening for your people, or use awakening in the code. And I think it makes the course like $79. Like, it's ridiculously valuable. And it's all the things that I put together lifestyle wise that got me better. So if you want to take charge, be empowered, it's a great way, inexpensive way to get your life back on track. So
love it. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you on behalf of my viewers. All right. So everybody, get out there, be your most authentic selves, and make it a fabulous day. Thank you for joining us today. Yay!
Thank you for tuning into my podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode, I'd love for you to share it with someone who'd find the information useful. Please leave a review anywhere you listen to podcasts, and it'll help the information get out to others. If you're interested in seeing if we're a great fit to work together, the link is in the show notes below where you can sign up for a free consultation with me. So go make it a great day and let your authentic self shine.